Okay, people, I'm going to do an update on this Fox body project before I'm finished, and I don't have any documentation of all the grief that I went through. But the first thing about this is, if you're going to do a custom supercharger turbo setup or anything, one thing to keep in mind that never occurred to me was that you probably want to get a hood that has more of a cowl than what I've got here. I think this can't be more than, it's not more than, it looks like it's more than an inch, but it's not more than 2 inches. And plus the Mach 1 style didn't help either, because the initial plan was to make a direct drive setup. I didn't want the pulley or the snout on here. I wanted this supercharger to sit all the way up for direct drive. But what was happening is that when they went to close the hood, it was making contact right in this area here where this drop down occurs for the Mach 1 opening. If it would have been straight across, maybe it wouldn't have been an issue, but you know, it's like, start over with the hood, you know, change this. I mean, the hood's finished. This is the way I wanted it, and I guess this is one of those things that I'm going to have to work around, but that's something to keep in mind, because these cars don't have much clearance up in this area when you're doing it, because it slopes down. It slopes down here, and the engine kind of comes up this way, you know, so that you're minimizing your clearance at the front. So anyway, the direct drive setup turned out to not be the direct drive setup, and we're going to go with the snout that came on it, which is this is the 4 5/16 snout. As you can see, the Kenne Bell setup is gone, and the discharge is cut in half. This is going to get covered and welded shut, and I'd like to have the discharge out the front here. I'm going to have an oval setup similar to this, but this is too big. This is not going to work. This is going to go, let's see, this is going to go back here. We're going to go back there with, that's something to that effect. And the air filter is going to be sitting in a box back there, and we're going to fabricate a ram air off of that inlet up there. It's going to go back and feed the box. So, you know, fresh air intake. You don't want to. I'm not going to be sucking any hot air from the engine compartment into that filter. So the intake, or the discharge for the supercharger, is going to be coming out the front, doing an angle into a charge cooler here, and then right from that it's going to go into a box, or I think that it's going to be a box, and then it's going to be another tube charge cooler that goes across here. I'm going to have to knock this off and do something else with that, but that's the way it's gonna sit. And I got my mock-up engine here for making my brackets on. This is the good engine. This is the 306 with the aluminum heads. It's built to handle 18. Actually, it was used for a season by a racer who was running a Vortec and had 18 pounds of boost, and he used it for one season before he decided he was going to go another route, and I bought it from him. So that's a good engine. I've got all 89 Lincoln Town Car stuff on the front of here, including the water pump, because it's standard rotation. Dual pulley setup down here. Those are 7-inch pulleys compared to the Mustang's 6-inch, so that's going to help some there. Tall valve covers going because I can't fit the charger where I want to. The other valve cover is on the back here, while kind of mocking this all up and getting a feel for how everything's going to sit. But then I'm going to pull that off of there and make all the brackets and stuff while it's on this engine, and then I'm going to transfer everything over to the old engine, which is still good, but it's just the stock engine. So if I'm going to blow an engine up, it's going to be the stock engine, and then I won't have to cry about it because it's my good engine, and then I can either turn down the boost or turn up the boost accordingly. And so you say, well, what the heck kind of throttle body setup, intake setup are you going to do? Because the discharge is explained, right? Try to keep the tubing to a minimum, going through 2 coolers. We're going to put the intercoolers up here in front of the radiator. Probably going to be like Honda Civic radiators. I'm not sure yet. I'm not what we're going to do about that yet, but that's just an idea. This is the throttle body setup. Okay. I didn't have to cut up my Kenne Bell intake to do that because that's still worth a couple $100. But it cost me $40 for this metal here that I started to work with here, but obviously it's not done. I'm not sure exactly if I'm going with this 57 millimeter Cobra or bidding going on a 62, which matches the intake, or the Pro-M. I don't want a throttle body that's going to flow more than the Pro-M will flow, and that's going to, it's hard to tell unless it's in there, and I can't put it in there and hold the camera at the same time. So we'll do this. See, it's going to be set in something like that, and then we got the idle air ported on the one side. Let's see, this boot has some flex to it. I can't show that holding the camera at the same time, but it's gonna bend on a 45 and go to a 4-inch tube that goes across the back there and into the Pro-M. So that's it. That's about where we sit so far. Anything else? Well, that's it for now. I put solid motor mounts in here because I know the hood clearance here it's tight. It's gonna be tight. So I don't want the engine bouncing around. It's not gonna be a daily driver anyway, so I think maybe it'll just make it that much more exciting with solid mounts. We'll see, but that's how it's going for now. Plans may change because they've changed once already, so we'll see. I'm just waiting on some more parts here, some things to finish the porting on the throttle body. Whether or not I'm going to go with the 62 millimeter or keep the 57, we'll see. But that's the update for now.